Congress deciding to opt out from part of President Obama's health care law right before they went on vacation. John Browne of Euro Pacific Capital is calling it absolutely scandalous. John joining us from Boynton Beach, Florida. John, why is this scandalous? Come on, it's just it's a slim part of the overall health care law, is it not?
Well, the whole Obamacare is just part of the evidence of financial repression, and the actual act itself really on this having an opt-out, a privileged status opt-outs for themselves, in my view, is an illustration of the complete contempt that Congress has and these politicians have for American people, and is why they're not going to attend many town hall meetings this summer. And it's a sign also, when that act was being passed, you remember Nancy Pelosi said that, oh, we don't know what's in there, we'll have to pass the act before we find out, or words to that effect. Complete disregard for democracy. And it is a scandal. And that these people should give us a fourth-rate, expensive healthcare system with declining skills and declining doctor coverage, and opt out of it for themselves in part is, I think, a scandal.
I had someone say to me that not long ago, the other day, saying this is inevitably going to be a huge, huge benefit for the insurance companies and for people who can come into the government and explain actually how health insurance works. And I think ultimately, if you get care that isn't as good, that if you lose availability of doctors, if people's premiums who already have insurance go up because of this, and then you have a huge benefit to the health insurance industry, ultimately the American people are going to get mad about this, and that's the only thing that will change it. Do you think, or no?
Oh, yes, I think they're already mad, a lot of them, but the politicians are opting out of going to their town hall meetings. They never get to see their politicians. And I think it's not just people are mad for those reasons, which you rightly say, Dagan, but it's bad for business. I mean, there's huge uncertainty, the tremendous complexity of this vast act, and the added costs of employment are killing full-time employment. People are saying, right, sacking people that are full-time and making two people part-time for the same job. And that is terrible for young people that have just graduated from school or university for their major first-time job, and they can't find a job. If you notice the recent employment statistics, 65% of the jobs created last month were part-time jobs, and 77% of that 65% were in low-paid jobs. I mean, it's a dreadful picture for young people in America just graduating, and those that have taken the trouble and often the expense of going to higher education to find no jobs. And Obamacare is killing jobs, particularly for the young.
Well, John, you make it sound like,
disgrace.
I know, you make it sound like the country's going to hell in a handbasket. The market's slightly off record highs. The unemployment rate did fall in the most recent month. People feel more optimistic about at least the housing market. It's not all that bad, is it?
Well, most people feel optimistic when they get a dose of heroin. I've seen severely wounded soldiers in my military career, and suddenly a smile comes over their face when they get a big dose of heroin. And that's what we have, this mammoth, I mean, absolutely enormous injections of cash by the Fed created out of nowhere, and it's an experiment. Meanwhile, although the markets are up, revenues on companies are falling. And that's the real worry for the future. And as far as the American people are concerned, I think there's only one way that America's greatness will be restored again for Americans and then made to feel good, and that is to have strict term limits for Congress. Both parties in Congress have really killed America's greatness, and the only way is to have single-term limits for them.
John, good to see you. Thank you so much. Passionate as always, Mr. Browne. Thank you again, John Browne.